how he performs here as well.
Definitely, and they are underway, and we'll see what strategies they use. I think both are probably going to power up in 1-1 and 1-2, and yep, that's exactly what we see. It's just generally the safest race strategy. You don't have to do any tough jumps in 1-2 or anything like that.
Totally, exactly, because the only time that you save by the time that you save by taking the later power-ups requires you to do just absolutely super unsafe things in 1-2. Most people end up slowing down to take 1-2 a little safer anyway, and then it's just a wash. So yeah, I very much agree with just the early pickups, just get them out of the way.
Exactly, and I mean, even if you're facing somebody like Cosmic or GTAce or Supersonic, you know, those really top runners, it's still probably a good idea to go with these safe strategies just because you're probably relying on them to make a mistake anyway, so that 1.5 seconds or whatever time difference it is between the 1-1 and 1-2 power-ups and the 1-3 and 1-4 power-ups really isn't going to matter much anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So they're both fired up, as we're saying, in 1-2 here, and yeah, looking like Rupert has just a slight lead so far, but this kind of lead is just one bump away from switching hands.
No doubt, and they're going to be going into 1-3. It's going to be a pretty straightforward platforming level for them. What's going to really come down to is how do they handle the 1-4 Bowser kill. They are going to try to kill Bowser with fire. That's because killing Bowser with fire is actually faster than touching the axe at the end of the level. And the reason for that is if you kill Bowser, you just touch the axe and you go straight to Toad. Whereas if you don't kill Bowser with fire, you touch the axe, you wait for the bridge to collapse, you wait for Bowser to fall in the lava. That whole process adds about 3 seconds.
Yep, so while it is safer a lot of the time to use firepower, it is also faster, because even though you gotta spend a few seconds collecting power-ups at the start, you then save that time back and then some every single Bowser fight in the game. So Rupert got a forwards Bowser, slid under it, got a quick kill. SuperMegaDav got a backwards Bowser, and got a quick kill on him as well, and yeah, now they're actually perfectly synced down to the frame rule. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they take different routes at the start of 2-1 and ruin the sync. Come on, guys.
So yeah, as far as their Mario position, they are literally synced now. As far as the horizontal position, I mean. So it's going to come down to these tricky jumps in 2-1. 2-1's got a couple spots that are really tough to not take any kind of bump on at all. And it looks like Rupert may have got a frame rule lead here, but I'm not actually sure.
I think they'll probably wash out here equal. It's such a close group, the four of you. There's also the Rudy in this group, and the four of you all have the potential to be very close in these races. It was really funny watching you versus SuperMegaDav, because it looked like at one point in the race, one person's screen was going into the next person's screen, like when the right person is just a little bit ahead of the left person. It's really funny.
Yeah,
we might see that here.
Favorite.
We might see that here.
So I gotta point out too, that was a perfect example of the frame rule in this game, because as you saw on 2-1, Rupert actually got just a few frames ahead and hit the flagpole just a little bit sooner than Dave did, but they both had to wait for the same frame rule though, and so they ended up starting this level perfectly in sync anyway. And that is because this game does only check as to whether it should send you forward every 21 frames, and so if you aren't far enough ahead of the other person, then you're both just waiting for the same bus, as they say.
Absolutely, and so you do see Rupert take a bit of a lead here. SuperMegaDav did some smart things. Instead of risking losing his power-up here, he decided to just, take a couple spots in the swim a little bit safer, and he got a really bad cheap there. Fortunately for him, it was right next to the power-up, so a very quick power-up grab won't cost him much time, but he will also have to grab another power-up in 2-4, but that was a very trolly pattern for him.
Yeah, I think if he had released A just slightly sooner, he might have done one of those swag cheap stomps, but when they come down on you like that, it takes, like, super tough timing to be able to actually get that and not just drop yourself into a pit by accident. So it's possible that it might have even just been better that it hit him rather than dropping into a pit trying to avoid it. And wow, his recovery was really good. Both of his follow-up power-up grabs were both insanely fast, so really good recovery from him there.
Yeah, and very good recovery to the point where he's like not even really a full half level behind, just less than half a level. So excellent recovery, and he's still way in this. I mean, if you're within a half level, this game is wide open for either runner.
Right, because if Rupert happens to, not to curse anybody, but if Rupert happens to take a power down at some point here, it would be tough for him to get that good of a recovery, and then that might end up giving Dave a little bit of an advantage there.
And we should thank Rupert for showing us what the fireworks do. He got a 6 on the ones digit of his timer, so he's going to celebrate the end of the level with 6 fireworks. That will cost him around 3 seconds as well. If you get a 3 in the ones digit of the timer, it'll cost you 3 fireworks or about a second and a half in that ballpark. And if you get 1 on the timer, you get 1 firework, but it doesn't cost you any time.
Yeah, so just like that, the gap closes just a tiny bit, and just like before, we are 1 potential mistake away.
Yeah, and we are 1 potential Rupert tiny time loss away from having the one person's screen go into the other, so we might see the dream. So we'll see in 3-3 at the beginning here if either player goes through the platform. It's just kind of a neat little thing that works in this game. If you're Big Mario, you can go through the platform in 3-3. I think Dave is going to do it. Nope, he decided not to. I've seen him do it in PV attempts, but neither of the runners got to do it. That's the only super exciting thing about 3-3.
I'm actually not even sure how you do it. Is it just you have to be duck jumping, or is it also a specific pixel?
No, it's not pixel perfect or ducking. You just have to be Big Mario, and as long as you jump, you'll kind of just go through that platform.
Huh.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why it works or how it works, but somebody who understands the game better can tell.
I've always been too afraid to try it myself because I didn't know exactly the requirements. So we got Potaboos in 3-4. That's pretty much the biggest threat here, not only to your safety but also to your time, because both of them you saw kind of slow down just a little bit to make sure that they weren't going to get hit by any nasty Potaboos there, and it costs an extra second, but it is so much safer to do in a race.
Yeah, definitely. So we are into World 4, and both players had a really nice 3-4, by the way. Rupert 1 in-game second faster. We're into World 4. 4-1 is the most comfortable level for these runners, but 4-2 is where we'll see potentially a route divergence, top route versus bottom route. Both routes are equally fast in terms of the frame rule, although the top route would be a little bit slower in terms of a couple frames, just because you have to do a little bit of a slowdown when you fall off from the top. But as far as the frame rule, they're the same. So Rupert maintaining that lead and actually extending his lead a little bit because SuperMegaDav did have a bonk there in 4-1.
Yeah, the old stare boss got him for a moment. And Rupert looks like he's going top route. If I remember right, I want to say MegaDav went bottom route in our race, and it looks like he is continuing to do so. So both routes represented here.
Yeah, and 350 is perfect for Rupert, and we'll see what SuperMegaDav gets here. Also the perfect 350, so both of those players doing equally well in 4-2. 4-3 is an interesting level because we talked about the frame rule, that bust that you can catch, that 21 frame window. Well, in 4-3, if you play this level without slowing down at all, and then you jump from a very specific 2-frame window at the end of the level off of that last elevator platform thing, you'll get 1 pixel above the block, and we'll see if Rupert gets it here. So he slides down, and he is 1 pixel above the block, I believe. And that 1 pixel above the block, instead of resting on the block, will save you 2 frames walking to the castle, and he did get it, which is enough to get on the earlier bus, the earlier 21 frame window.
Yeah, it's one thing that I've done accidentally a couple times, but to get that consistent is very tough. And now 4-4 is a weird level where because you have to go on the bottom route of these 3 ways to go here, you kind of have to snake around, which takes some careful, quick navigating. There's a little bit more to it than it looks, where you'll notice that the players kind of duck slide off, and that's just a little bit of a nuance as to how to kind of turn your Mario around a little bit faster when you go around those spots. And you'll see that a couple times. If a player slides off of something while ducking, It's because even though Mario appears to stand up while he's in the air, he actually does still only have half of his hitbox during that time. So that lets him kind of either slip under something or not get hit by an enemy or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And we are in World 5. World 5 is pretty treacherous. 5-1's kind of the calm before the storm of World 5. 5-2, you can get this early bullet bill shot. We'll see how Roopert takes it. He challenges it and doesn't get a bullet bill, so that's nice. But that first cannon there can shoot a bill. And then 5-3 is Bill City. And, oh, SuperMegaDav, you see, he gets the bill. So that's what we were talking about, the start of just the really challenging gauntlet in World 5. 5-3 will have Bullet Bill City, and 5-4 has Potaboos and Firebars galore.
The old 5-2, how do you do, we call it. But, whoa, these Hammer Bros! Okay. One nice thing I can say about 5-2 is that it does have a lot of power-ups in it. So even though Dave had to collect a shroom, then got hit, he still is able to fire back up before the end of the level. So yeah, 5-2 is a very rough level. Ooh. It does have power-ups in it though. Unlike 5-3, which is a rough level, but doesn't have very many power-ups in it, and also has a lot more potential for your mistakes to be a death rather than a power down due to the nature of the faults that may occur because of these bullet bills.
Yeah, and speaking of bullet bills, Roopert had a crazy stomp on one of the bullet bills. It was maybe a frame or two from having landed on it too soon and actually getting hit in front of it. So he's going to take this Potaboo section safe. That's a wise decision. And get a nice fire kill on Bowser. Wow.
I love that the backstab. And yeah, I'm very glad to see that neither players died in 5-3, because like I was saying, it's so easy for that to be such a huge deal. But yeah, 5-4 looking good for Roopert. Whoa, MegaDav got under one of those Potaboos, so that was...
He goes over the back of the fire hitbox. That fire by Bowser, the hitbox is only on the front side of that fireball, that little, horizontal flame. And Dave jumped over the front side, cut through the back side of the flame, but there's no hitbox there, so he went through the fire without taking a hit. That was amazing. These runners are putting on a show here with some dodges. They're taking after Dodge Master Dooley.
And it's really excellent to see getting into World 6 with firepower also, because yeah, 5-4 is such a treacherous castle as far as how easy it is to make a mistake and end up powering down. And then you have to collect power-ups in 6-1, which can be really tough with the Lakitu throwing Spinies. So yeah, just really nice to see them not have to worry about that. Roopert bumped up a little bit on 6-2 there, not 100. He slowed down just a tiny bit, so that's going to allow MegaDav to possibly get another frame rule or two caught back up here as well.
Yeah, or a handful. Roopert lost 5 in-game seconds versus optimal, so that's approximately 5 frame rules, give or take a little bit. And Dave gets the perfect 342, so he gains about at least a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds in that neighborhood back on Roopert there. But Dave has taken 2 hits, but his power-up recoveries have been so good that he's still in this. All it takes is one mistake in the later worlds for Roopert, or one really bad placed enemy or RNG, and then Roopert's Small Mario all of a sudden, and if that happens, and Dave remains Big Fire, then that's almost advantage Dave in a way, because Roopert will have to do some safer strategies.
Yeah, for sure. Now, one thing that just happened on Roopert's screen and we're about to see on Dave is this opening on 6-4, which is, in my opinion, one of the hardest tricks in the whole game. In a race setting, which is to duck jump under this first Potaboo. He actually slowed down to take it safe, though, which I guess makes sense since I'm saying it's so difficult and risky. But that makes these fire bars come down on the bottom, which he had to slow down and wait for, and those fire bars get really bad. So if you saw Roopert duck jump under the first Potaboo and then get through as quickly as possible, that's really risky, but the reason is because then all of the rest of the fire bars in that castle were nice for Roopert, and he was able to full speed run the rest of the way through. So that's one of those really little nuanced things where doing one thing early in the level affects the spawns of the rest of the things in the level, and there are a lot of tiny optimizations you can make, which is why you see a lot of players kind of do a lot of the same weird things.
Oh, and Super Mega Dave gets an unfortunate bill there. He came down right in front of the bill launcher and didn't have a chance to duck. Just really, really unfortunate timing and placement on that bill, which will cost him his power-up. So really now Roopert has a significant advantage, not only in time, but in the power-up status. So Super Mega Dave is just going to have to go as fast as he can and hope for Roopert to have an issue somewhere, but this is definitely advantage Roopert at this point.
Yeah, that cannon, I mean, it shot on pretty much the exact wrong frame for Mega Dave. That was frame perfect for that cannon.
Yeah, and Dave's been a little unlucky. He got that really unlucky 2-3 cheap. He challenged the bill in 5-1, which maybe he could have played that a little safer, but still kind of unlucky if you go for the challenge. And then also just kind of unlucky with the timing of that bullet bill. There was almost no chance to avoid it the way he played it. So he's had a very good run. He's just had a little bit of misfortune as well.
Yeah, for sure. And luckily, though, he was able to get through 7-2 big, which means he's going to be able to collect fire in 7-3, which is a really big deal because that's going to be the only way for him to have firepower. Not only for the 7-4 Bowser to not lose time on that X animation, but then to do the fastest strats in World 8 as well. So getting firepower in 7-3 is a very big deal, as we see Roopert has, because yeah, over on Roopert's side, I mean, besides just a couple bumps here and there, he's had a very, very solid run here. Really no major mistakes at all. I don't remember him powering down yet, at least.
No, not at all. Very clean run for Roopert. We don't, of course, want to commentate or curse. But forward Bowser turns around and gets the fire kill on Bowser. He got 4. He thought he almost got the 5th, and then he jumped up and shot the 5th fireball there on Bowser. But I will say the one thing that's very important is World 8 has no checkpoints. So Roopert, if he takes a death in World 8, will go back to the beginning of the level that he takes a death in. So if he dies at the very end of 8-1, he'll go all the way back to the beginning of 8-1. If he dies at the very end of 8-2, all the way back to the beginning of 8-2. No checkpoints. So it's very important that he doesn't fall in one of these holes on these stair climbs or have any other kind of misfortunes at the end of these levels.
Yeah, that's really important to note, because that does mean that since Roopert is less than one full level ahead, that does mean, just like you said, that means that one catastrophic mistake that he could make would just flip the race over to the other player's advantage immediately. And just like I was saying, now Super Mega Dave is able to get into 8-1 with firepower since he made it through 7-4 safely. So yeah, he is not going to be losing any time on Roopert's 8-1 there if he plays this optimally.
Yep, and Roopert, I got a little lag on the stream. I don't know if you did, but I'm gonna give it a quick refresh.
Sounds good. I also did hear your voice cut out for a moment, so it might be that. But yeah, so I was mentioning you might see players do like certain little things that seem kind of weird and specific, but both players do it for some reason. And one thing on 8-1 that you might have noticed were very similar Koopa stomps at the start, and they both reveal the star block as they run by it. It's kind of fun to do those things, but also it takes a bit too long to explain in the moment.
They're optimal strategies, let's just say that.
Yeah. It sets things up in the level later that's optimal.
Exactly. And I'm back in real time here. I did have a minor desync there for a moment. And Super Mega Dave. Oh, and Roopert takes a hit. Oh my goodness. If Dave hadn't taken that hit there, it could have been a huge moment for him. Or that death there. It could have been a huge moment for him. Because now Roopert's small Mario, and if he takes a death, that would have closed the gap all the way back up for Super Mega Dave. But unfortunately, he took the death at the end of 8-2, while Roopert was taking the hit in 8-3.
Yeah, this section at the end of 8-2 that Mega Dave is getting into right now, with these Koopas and that cannon, I honestly think that's one of the most difficult little sections in this whole game. So yeah, very treacherous area. Roopert, fortunately, when he took a hit in 8-3, it was basically the best time that he could have gotten hit since he could use his invulnerability frames to get past all the rest of the Hammer Bros. And then also, being someone who's experienced with any percent and running this game small only, playing the castle small, I don't think is much of a discomfort for Roopert.
All right, Rupert waiting out the podium, but it was nice and high, but it's still safe to wait it out, and he hits the axe with a time of 19:28. Fantastic run. I mean, really the only blemish on that whole run was that hit he took in 8-3, and it was pretty much a troll hammer, bro. It's the one that like lands on your face as you're running at it. So excellent run for Rupert. And SuperMegaDave's had a great run. The biggest mistake in his run was 8-2. A lot of it was really bad luck and some misplaced enemies that did him in, but he's had a very solid run as well.
Yeah, and his performance through 8-3 small there was beautiful. I mean, he got right past all those hammer bros, nailing the wall jump in 8-4. So yeah, this Dave is having himself a good finish to the race here as well.
Oh yeah, very strong performance.
And with the damage that Rupert took also, I mean, I really feel like the only slowdown that even really occurred or created for him was the power down animation itself, since he could just run through the rest of the level and then do 8-4 small. All right, Bowser for SuperMegaDave, he finishes with a 20-32, and that is our race for these two.
Yeah, that was an awesome race. And one thing I will say is that it's so important to finish out your run in this format. SuperMegaDave, even though he's taken 2 losses, is not out of this. If Rupert were to sweep the group, and then you, Rudy, and Dave were to have kind of a 1-1-1 versus each other, all 3 of you would be 1-2, 1 win and 2 losses, and your average time would be a tiebreaker. So it's so important to finish out these runs. If you're in chat and you're in this tournament, make sure to finish out your run. Do not forfeit if at all possible, because that could be a potential tiebreaker there.
For sure. And yeah, so turning in that's one thing to say for like the race that Dave and I had yesterday, was just the way that it was so close that something like that could end up being very, very interesting and very, very close. All right.
Well, so looks like we have Rupert. Yeah, Rupert is here, and Rupert with a 19:28 per his timer. Rupert, that was a really clean run until you got that kind of troll hammer bro there at the end of 8-3. How'd you feel?
Few mistakes here and there. I guess the biggest one was the where I got hit by the hammer bro in 8-3. But thankfully, I was able to just make it through the rest of those and go ahead and do 8-4 there. I think I got fireworks once or twice, and had a couple little slip ups here and there, but overall pretty decent run. I mean, I think I was only when I was about 12 seconds off my PB, so I consider that a pretty good run.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, right, exactly. All we really saw from you as far as things that slowed you down were a couple of bumps. I particularly noticed 6-2. I think there were a couple bumps, and then, like you mentioned, yeah, just some fireworks. But other than that, it was really, really excellent run and super, super fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 6-2. I there toward the end of the level, I did something weird and I lost my momentum, and it just kind of threw me off for the rest of the level. But I was just happy to make it through without taking a hit there.
Yeah, for sure. And 6-2 is one of the hardest levels, honestly.
Yeah, and SuperMegaDave, you also had a really nice race. Honestly, we were saying as we were watching you run that a lot of the stuff really wasn't your fault. You got one of the worst possible cheats in 2-3, one of the worst possible bills in 5-1, one of the worst possible bills in 7-1, and those are where you lost your power-ups. The only real major mistake was the 8-2 death. Yeah,
also you got the 5-2 how do you do?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my time. I think it was solid gameplay all around. Anything like close to 20 minutes for me is kind of good in a race setting. And I played a little bit nervous in like 2-3 and 7-3 because I was scared of bad cheats. So I was kind of nervous entering those levels. But all around, I think I'm pretty satisfied. Even though it's a loss, I think I saw Rupert's time GG 19:28 is insane in a race setting. So GG to you.
Yep, yeah, thank you.
I think so. It was really important that you finished that run out, SuperMegaDave, because you are not out of this tournament yet. I know you've taken 2 losses, but we were just saying in this round robin format, if Rupert were to sweep the group and win all 3, you still have a chance to advance if you were to beat Rudy and then Rudy were to beat Dash, you all would be 1 and 2, and the tiebreaker is average time. So you got to feel pretty good with getting 2 runs, at least, kind of close to 20 minutes. And like I said, most of the stuff that happened in this run for you was a little bit of bad luck, but you got to feel pretty good with your times.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Like, I wish that A2 mistake was has not been done. I bunked like on the pipe, and unfortunately, I lost all my momentum. But yeah, like the time that I had against Dash and Rupert, I think I'm pretty happy with those. Like, I entered this tournament and I saw my group, and I was like, I think I don't think I'm gonna be able to beat any of them, but I'm there to have fun, and I think the fact that we have groups and we are guaranteed to have 3 matches is really awesome. Like, it's a nice little change, and I'm happy to be running.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. The group format I've been enjoying too.
Certainly. So, Rupert, you are now 1-0. This was your first match. Like you said, you're pretty happy with your time. And how do you feel, obviously, having now participated in the tournament, how do you feel about your group, and how do you feel about how the tournament has gone so far overall?
As far as my group, it's it's definitely not an easy group. It's one of those where, honestly, any of the matches can go either way, because everybody in my group's got pretty good times, and with like a lot of the races and stuff, it doesn't take much for it to swing one way or the other. Like if I died there and at the end of 8-3 or something like that, then it wouldn't have taken too much more, and it possibly could have gone the other way. But as far as the tournament format so far, it's not perfect. I guess it's hard to make any format perfect, but there could. I feel like from a little bit of feedback I got, we can make some minor adjustments to the structure of it. But overall, I feel like this format's working out pretty well, and most of the participants who have talked to me about it seem to enjoy it this way, and everybody gets to play different players, and you get you're guaranteed an extra match and all that. So I think overall it's been working out pretty well so far, and we'll at the end of it we'll of course get everybody's feedback and see what they liked and what they didn't like, and what should maybe be changed, if anything, and all that stuff. But I think it's definitely, at least up to this point, it's reducing the lull that we usually get in the double elimination tournaments. I mean, we've got from Friday evening through Sunday, we have like 11 matches on the schedule right now. So lots of races coming up this weekend.
Well, that sounds good. And yeah, speaking of lots of matches that are coming up, make sure to check out the SpeedGaming website to look at the schedule for that, as well as all the other races that they're doing. And they've got a Discord as well, so check that out if you guys are interested. We'll definitely be seeing you guys for the next couple days for several matches, and we hope to see you guys there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Speed Gaming on their main channel right now has the No Kids Hungry Marathon going on. So head over there and check it out. A really great cause, and they're raising a lot of money for that. So definitely wanted to plug them on that. And of course, thank them for hosting the tournament that we're doing here. Also, just wanted to congratulate Rupert on the win and SuperMegaDav on a really nice race. And finally, we have some matches coming up in the next few days as well. Dave, you're back at it again tomorrow. I mean, you're getting your matches out of the way early. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, SuperMegaDav versus the Rudy. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern is Supersonic versus Niamek. And then on Saturday, we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches scheduled, with a 7th that hasn't yet been approved, but I think probably will be. So that's a lot of matches coming up on Saturday, several on Sunday, one on Monday, Tuesday. So the tournament is in full swing. Make sure to tune into the Speed Gaming family of networks for all of the matches. And once again, Rupert and SuperMegaDav, any last words? And GG's to you both.
Well, GG, Rupert, and good luck for your next match.
Yeah, GG to you as well. But yeah, it's been fun, and I don't really have much else to add. But good luck on. How many matches do you have left? 1 or 2?
I have my match tomorrow against Rudy, and that's the last one.
That's
already.
Last one in the group stage. You still have a chance.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, Well, best of luck to you in that match tomorrow.
Thanks.
Alrighty, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of the Super Mario Bros. 1 2020 Warpless Tournament. Dash, it's been a pleasure, and I think we're going to get to do it again very soon. To all of you in chat, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for supporting the runners, and we'll see you on the next episode. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later.